From the Business Civic Leadership Center's Adding Value in Emerging Markets Conference, we're very fortunate to have Bosco Munga from the Bourbon Coffee Holdings. Bosco, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So you're CEO of the company?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right, so with regard to this Emerging Markets Conference, we're going to get to that in a minute. But first, as to Bourbon Coffee Holdings, what do you do?
What we do is, ours is a concept of direct trade. There's two aspects of trade that are now in the popular vocabulary, which is fair trade, which is whereby the consumers in this country, through the companies that they purchase from, are able to sort of give a fair price that translates into a fair wage and fair compensation for those who produce that crop. Now, direct trade is if we took it to the next level where we were able to actually get the crop directly and have some kind of direct interaction with those who actually grow and make our products. And sometimes it's local in the US and sometimes it's international.
So you grow your coffee in Rwanda?
We don't grow, but we deal directly with the growers who are small-scale growers. A typical farmer, we are the company that I work for is at this point working with Rwanda, and we are able to work. A typical farmer in Rwanda in the coffee business has maybe about 250 trees, and they're able to come together in cooperatives, and together they create washing stations which adds value to the crop, and in time they are able to then sell it. So our interaction is with the farmer at the cooperative level.
All right, and is this better for the farmer?
Yes, it is. What happens is with a farmer, the fact that they are able to come together initially is to, first of all, to share information about how best to improve their crop. Most definitely with the Coffee Board of Rwanda and through agronomists who come in and do help them to produce a better value crop. But more so, when they come together to generate a washing station, it adds value just at that very level that is where their first interaction with commerce. Because a washing station is the first stage of actually getting the actual seed and being able to make it into a parchment that gives it a little bit more value, almost 20–25% at that stage.
Oh, so more money actually gets to the farmer.
Yes, yes.
Right, and I suspect that if more money is getting down to the level at the bottom of the pyramid, if you will, that's probably better for that community.
Yes, very much so. And also with a washing station, where Bourbon is at the forefront wanting to work with these farmers, is because they are able, in a democratic way, first of all, to make decisions that are best for them, because there'll be two prices. There'll be the price where they actually bring the crop and they're paid immediately as they bring it in, so they don't wait for their money. And at the same time, the value addition, which will then be sold to companies like ours, which we will then work to bring it all the way to the United States and other markets. We're able to get a better price for them and then translate it back to them, and then they can make communal decisions of how best to grow their own community. Now they could create a health center, they could create other issues that they wish to solve, but now on a more communal basis, yet initially they were also first paid on an individual basis with their own crop.
Well, this idea sounds like it's more expensive for you, the company at the top end. Is it?
Not at all. Actually, this is where the paradigm can shift, because direct trade is the fact that we are then able to minimize the role of the middleman, so that the crop actually goes through less hands, and therefore as we bring it and are able to, most of the value actually happens to be in the developed world, whereby we're able to roast it here, to be able to present it on a retail basis, and sometimes to sell it as the bean itself, or to actually sell it as a cup of coffee. We're able to generate more value. So therefore we give more without necessarily having to have necessarily paid more. We're just able to control the channel a little bit better.
Second to oil, coffee is the most heavily traded commodity in the world. How's your competition? What does your competition say about this new business model and this new business paradigm that you're bringing?
It's actually, that's a very good point. To begin with, we actually see almost every coffee player is doing a version of what we do. When you look at Starbucks is in the coffee industry here in the United States, there's Starbucks and then there's everybody else. They have over 11,000 stores or more. The next has 500. So the correlation is very different. But the important thing is Starbucks themselves have come to Rwanda, have set up a farmer support center. They themselves are buyers of Rwandan coffee. They themselves support initiatives like we have. And they do things on both levels of which where Bourbon is that we're also a neighborhood coffee shop. We're able to actually be part of the neighborhood and give to the neighborhood that we work in wherever we may be in the United States. And that is what also Starbucks is doing. So you're creating neighborhoods in both places, at source and at the marketplace. And you're able to enroll your employees, your neighbors, to do what's good for them. And what they do, what is good for them, can actually translate in something that is very good for whoever they're buying this crop from initially. And I see Starbucks doing that. I see other companies playing in that field, and obviously the independent coffee mom and pop are at the forefront of social change. And also you find grocery channels like Whole Foods and others who are also players in this field. So it's actually a movement more than anything else.
You don't hear business leaders talking about movements like this very much. Is this not a change that you think may happen in more work than just in coffee?
Very much so. You can do good by doing well. We don't have to differentiate those. We do good by being able to be conscious about the decisions we make in what we buy. We realize that we are global citizens, that if we connect to those who supply what we actually consume, if we begin to actually understand who they may be, if the Rwandan farmer can understand who actually consumes his coffee or her coffee, if the American, especially the young Americans that I see, are so interested in the ability to not just be consumers of products, but to actually have a relationship with those that they actually are buying this from. And I see it's a paradigm that most companies are going to move from the model of CSR and more into monetizing good within their companies because it will help them do well. And I think this can be a very clear example of how we can do it.
Wow, that's an amazing statement, and I want to make sure that I understand it. And going back to the beginning of that, you talked about the young consumer of coffee and wanting to have a relationship with, I guess, the supply chain throughout. Is that for real, or is that just a hope on your part?
No, it's very much for real. I'll give you many examples. We are attracted to some degree in our locations closer to universities. And you find that the young people who come in, number one, they're great locations because young people consume a lot of coffee. Part of also being a student is late nights and a lot of studying, so they enjoy the
absolutely late night
ambience.
Studying.
Yes, yeah, they enjoy the ambience of the third place. First place being your work, second place being your home, the third place being where we interact. You know, the old village square has become the new coffee shop. You know, once we have this place, is the fact that they have the ability to then begin to question themselves about who they want to be in terms of the work that they wish to participate in. And you find that many times the decisions they wish to make, they may even be willing to take a little less in a monetary sense if they feel more satisfied with the work they want to be about. And that's why you find companies like Google are dedicating maybe 20% of their time to employees doing anything that they wish, you know, that can be innovative, that is good, because companies of the future realize that if we open this space to younger people, to be able to allow themselves to see what's best for tomorrow, it may just generate different products that will be the future. And I see that in various ways now, with countries like Rwanda that are at this particular stage seen at some point to be, they're very innovative in various ways, in the sense that you find our interaction with the first world is creating a different business paradigm that has a respect for both, that has an interaction with both.
You're working in Rwanda and the United States, any place else?
Yeah, we are hoping to move to Europe. We should be opening a store in London towards the end of the year. And our hope is wherever that coffee is consumed, we do it by also not only selling the crop, selling the message, creating direct trade, and also creating the interactions between the peoples, both who grow it and those who consume it.
Here at this Adding Value in Emerging Markets conference, the Business Civic Leadership Center is announcing a couple of new things, a Business for Good map and an International Business Core. Can that help you?
Yes, very much so. Actually, the International Business Core, just before I came into this interview, I was talking to a street bank that is based out of Boston, and they have over 700 employees in New York where we have a store, and I was interacting with them because I would love to be able to talk to the employees and ask them to volunteer so that they can come within the washing station. You find sometimes there's a need for administrative capacity building, from accounting, to be able to also work with others who may have an agricultural bend in terms of understanding how best. We would love to work with companies that can help in terms of logistics, branding and marketing for some of the stories of our farmers here in the United States. So many areas that can actually be brought in to help our people, but more so also to help American companies, because if you are able to tell the story of somebody in a more authentic way, it is the same skills that could be used for you to tell the same message to an American audience in an advertisement down the road. So it's a very much win-win situation.
Last question. 10 years down the road, Bosco, you're still CEO. You've looked back at your last 10 years of work. What do you see?
What I see is a company that measures itself in a different way from today. We are profitable companies in the traditional sense. We are a company that is able to generate franchises so that others can get into this good idea. We're able to create direct linkages with our farmers down the road. They're able to appreciate those who consume their product. We are profitable. We are out in the marketplace, but more so we are measuring ourselves with the good that we do. So we do good because we do well, and we do well because we do good, so that it's actually sustainable, so that it becomes a paradigm that can be measured, that can be monetized, and can also be replicated in other industries.
Wow. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.